I'm at the house of Spencer Overton, and we're about to commit a felony. Fraud? Money laundering? Cooking crystal meth with stolen orphan children? Not exactly. I'm Dalton Lilley with Breaking the Law, and we investigate intrusive laws, the lawmakers who make them, and the lawbreakers who break them. And today, we're going to make some beer.
I'm receiving the message from the law, wondering how I was getting along. Was I ever gonna write it all?
You see, Spence, like an estimated 5,000 other Alabamans, likes to brew his own beer. However, Alabama is the only state left where it is completely illegal to homebrew. It can land you a fine of up to $2,000 or a year in prison. And it's not something that's overlooked either. The state's gone after homebrewers in the past, a beer and wine store in 2012, and even a prosecutor from Mobile County. Looks like all the kids just want to brew their own beer. The worst part about it, a lot of these beer lovers don't even know that they're breaking the law. And then there are those that are just so passionate that they don't even care. And that brings me to my man Spence. Cheers, Spence.
Cheers.
I'm the day bartender at the Early Bird Saloon, and from 6 o'clock to noon, I pour breakfast for the soaks.
All right, so what exactly do we have going on here?
So this is a really basic homebrew setup. I do 5-gallon batches. This Gatorade cooler is my mash and lauter tun. So I'll put grain into here, and the whole point of this is for starch conversion into sugars. So basically all the grain goes into here and it'll steep for about 60 minutes. Then I'll transfer that into my boil kettle. I'll rinse those grains and add that second runnings into here. We'll boil for about 60 minutes, and that's where all the hops come in. I've got hops on a table behind me. Several hop additions on this beer. It's a pale ale, so I'm using a couple different types of American hops. So basically we'll boil that for 60 minutes. Then I'll cool it down with this immersion chiller behind me. So after that, it'll ferment for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'll bottle it up and it'll be ready to drink.
So how do we get started? That's the real question.
We are ready to go right now.
Okay, well, let's do this.
Right on.
Oh, do I need to put my beer down?
Maybe.
Okay.
So if you'll grab that lid,
Okay.
And just set it behind on the table, if that's all right. Might be a little hot.
Okay.
All right. All right,
Okay.
so basically as soon as this grain starts going
Okay.
in, you start stirring, and just make sure it all gets mixed up. You don't want any dough balls in there.
Now is this, I can just...
Oh yeah, it's just like cereal. It's like grape nuts.
Now is there a particular way I need to stir?
Not
is
at
this
all.
good stirring form?
You have great form.
Thank you. I practiced beforehand.
Hopefully we're going to hit right around 152 degrees. That's what we're hoping for.
So 1 + 1 = beer,
If
is
not,
what you're telling me.
I'm going to blame it on you.
That's fine. Well, we've got some stuff on the table, so while this is
Absolutely.
going, why don't we step back here and you can kind of explain a couple
Sure.
things to me?
Yeah. So the coolest thing on the table is right in front of you. This is a yeast starter. So basically, in Alabama, it's legal for us to do all of this, but it becomes illegal when we add this to the finished product. So technically, it's legal to brew wort, but it is illegal to add yeast to it.
So you can have like the pre-beer,
Sure, yeah.
but you just can't go full beer.
Barley tea, yeah, that's
Okay.
basically what it is. But adding the yeast is what creates the alcohol, of course. And at that point, that's where the law in Alabama says, that's illegal.
Birmingham Street, spoon man's here and the folk man's near, snake charm in between, 5 fellow freaks in a Cadillac hearse down a Birmingham Street.
Hey, Dalton, how was your meeting with the homebrewer?
Reneé was a little confusing. Not on how to make the beer, how to drink it. I know how to drink it. But I kind of thought we'd be out in the woods with a couple of hillbillies on an episode of Moonshiners, or in a 1920s style speakeasy.
Now that's a tomato worth picking. Hey, doll. You're the bee's knees, the real McCoy the cat's meow. Say, what's a Sheba like you doing in a juice joint like this anyway? Ah, playing coy. What do you say me and you get spifficated?
Yeah, I'm here in the 21st century, and I'll tell you, I'm not happy that there aren't any speakeasies, but I am okay with the fact that we didn't end up in the boonies.
What kind of beer did you two make?
We made a pale ale, which I know from experience in my research that it's not actually pale, it's more of an amber color.
That is true. And been around for almost 300 years. It's one of my favorites.
Really? Huh, I pegged you as more of a pinky up, fruity champagne type of girl.
I can be on certain nights.
Okay, but seriously, how can it be illegal to make your own beer? What's the deal with this state?
Well, Alabama does certainly have their own take on this law. And in 1978, when President Jimmy Carter was in office, he signed a bill that made it legal federally.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't until 2013 that Mississippi passed it to be okay, and Alabama now is the only state still that criminalizes the practice.
Well, that's ridiculous.
But, Dalton, don't you fear. That could be coming to a change very quickly.
Why, they're gonna elect Jimmy Carter as governor?
No, I don't think so. I'm actually getting ready to talk to State Representative McCutchen, who introduced a bill that would legalize it for Alabamians that are 21 and up to homebrew their own beer, wine, and cider.
Well, awesome.
Oh, and actually, I'm a little late, so I've got to run. Wish me luck.
Okay, good. Do you know anybody that homebrews?
A couple people in the past, but not currently.
Okay, that live in Alabama?
Yes.
All right, wait, don't worry, nobody's gonna get in any trouble or anything. Did you know that it's illegal to homebrew in the state of Alabama?
Yeah, I actually heard that recently. I didn't know that at the time when my friends were doing that, but yeah.
I didn't know that, no.
Well, if you had to guess, why do you think Alabama still restricts homebrewing? Like, what do you think that they think the problems with it are?
I don't really see a big reason. I don't know what their reason would be for it either.
So what do you think the people out there, why do you think that they're so against this? Why do you think that it's still a law and they haven't followed suit with the other?
That right there. Can't collect tax on it.
What's the difference between homebrewing and maybe going to the gas station and picking up a 6-pack of beer?
You're buying it, you're giving back, you're buying it and giving back to the distributors, and if you make it, you're making your own money.
I guess some authenticity to it, or maybe some uniqueness to what they're doing, different flavors that you maybe can't get at a gas station.
Alabama chicken, show me the way. Alabama chicken got something to say. Look 'em in the eye, a bird don't lie. Alabama chicken.
I am State Representative Mac McCutchen, State Representative in District 25.
I'm Dr. Bill Day, former director of American Character Builders, which is the educational organization related to ALCAP, the Alabama Citizens Action Program.
And I know one thing that has come up in our conversation here is especially alcohol. And as you know, we're here visiting, talking to different people about House Bill number 9.
House Bill number 9 is a bill to give the freedom to an individual within the confines of their home to brew an alcoholic beverage that has alcohol content but is not for sale.
Okay, ALCAP began in 1937. It began as a spin-off of the repeal of Prohibition. It really focused and centered on alcohol, some of the problems that were related to it.
Now, this isn't the first time this bill has kind of made it as far as it has and then got denied. Why do you think in the past people have opposed it?
I think there's a variety of reasons. Some are religious reasons and people's individual beliefs and faith and just having an issue with alcohol in general. I think another one was the fact that people were not educated to what homebrewing was.
Okay, ours is an abstinence organization. We feel like that if you don't start something, you have to worry about stopping it. And most people, they look at alcohol, they think, well, you know, this is just a social beverage. It's a lubricant that allows us to interact on a good basis. Well, it's not. It's a psychotropic drug.
There's always the opportunity for people to abuse alcohol. But to me, I think the issue is more of the abuse rather than the alcohol or the beverage itself. And that's one thing that I have tried to explain to my colleagues is that, you know, we need to not be narrow-minded on this.
Alcoholism is a real problem in America. You have about 19 million Americans that are addicted. So these are alcoholics that are dealing with issues. Our society pays for that in the long run. So we're trying to educate, inform, and restrict and limit the expansion of all these various drugs that are involved.
We've probably got one of the most restrictive amounts that you can store within your home of any homebrew bill nationwide. And we put a limitation on that, so that, and that was to address the issue of alcohol being stored at the home where there may be children.
I know during Prohibition everybody said, well, hey, if you will legalize the purchase of alcohol, there will be no market for moonshine. You have more moonshine consumed today than ever before because of its content of alcohol.
And what I think it's been a process of being educated about what homebrewing is, what homebrewers do, and being also educated as to the law itself.
Excuse me, sir, you got a second to answer some questions for us real quick? Awesome, awesome. Well, we're with a show called Breaking the Law, and we're actually doing a story on homebrewing in Alabama.
Okay.
Now, do you drink alcohol?
Oh, occasionally.
Occasionally. I'm an occasional drinker myself. Now, are you aware that Alabama is the only state that does not allow homebrewing in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was one other several years ago, but no, I pretty much knew that.
So, do you feel that people should be able to homebrew?
Yeah, I mean, I got no problem with it. I don't know anybody here that does it because it's against the law. I know people in other states who do it where it is legal. And, you know, I mean, they're all of age and they basically just drink it for themselves and their friends, and that's about it. So, yeah.
I've heard some people, you know, over the last few years, they'd kind of experiment with it. It was like fun. They'd make it up, and then they'd get bored with it and stop it. But I think it's crazy to have a law that, you know, says you can't make your own beer.
So why do you think it's crazy?
Well, of all the things to be concerned about in the legal area of what the state has, the challenges it has, I think this is something they could either not worry about or just get it off the books. But there's a lot of laws like that.
You know, we have people that live on the streets that'll go into your local Dollar General store and buy shaving lotion for a high. And this is going to be your first test vote on just opening this state up for whatever. When I have a cocktail, I drink Chevy's Regals. Chevy's Regals is stamped and approved by the governmental agency that said this is healthy. Man, you gonna make everybody up there wino.
We're here with Craig Torres, Chief Hophead and owner of Hop City Craft Beer and Wine. Now they've got stores in Atlanta and Birmingham, are credited with bringing the growler concept to Atlanta, and in one of the premier destinations to purchase home brewing supplies in the area. Now, there's a reason we're filming at the Atlanta location and not at the Birmingham location. Because when Craig decided to take his home brewing ideas to Alabama, he ran into a little trouble. So Craig, why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened on September 20th?
Absolutely. Okay. So yeah, the day before we were scheduled to open, the Alabama Department of Revenue came by and they did indeed confiscate everything they decided to be contraband, which was literally everything, ingredients and equipment used in the manufacture of beer.
So how much stuff was that?
It was just about $7,000 worth of product.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay, but now Representative McCutchen has a bill on the way that might change that, right?
That is correct. So should that pass, we should be in great shape. Why don't we hop on inside and let's go take a look?
Okay, cool.
I know where the beat goes, rocking and the sound, I'll check it. By the time the day is done, you can find a dead someone. By the time the day is done, you can find a dead someone.
We've got some stuff here, and you're going to tell us a little bit about the things that they actually confiscated from your store in Birmingham.
That's correct.
Okay, why don't we start off down here with this very, very dangerous looking 5-gallon bucket.
It's a pretty scary piece of equipment. That is a food grade, I will say, a food grade bucket, but it is not that much materially different from what you can buy at a local hardware store.
Craig, this bucket says that children can fall in bucket and drown.
It's true. It's absolutely a threat in that respect.
Okay, now what is this thing? Because it's got to be some sort of eye gouger device, right?
It is really just a big fancy ice cube. So we use that to chill down our beer from the boiling temperature all the way back down to room temperature in a very short period of time.
And then, so we talked about the grain. We've got some hops here, which we'll go ahead and try some of those.
We did have a representative amount of our hops confiscated. Hops are a product that has been naturally preserving our beer for thousands and thousands of years.
And they're awful, Craig.
They are awful. I should have told you not to eat those.
Yeah, you should have told
Don't
me not
those.
to eat that. Oh, thank you. Thank you now.
Yeah.
Thank you now, Craig. Thoughtful.
Not illegal to have them. However, in context,
It's illegal for you to have them.
Apparently so. Yes.
Okay.
So, if you can believe it, they even confiscated homebrewing books, like this one right here.
So these are obviously dangerous books.
Clearly.
Right?
Now, that book,
The Joy of Home Brewing. Apparently not very joyful in Alabama.
Indeed. I reckon this, I compare this to a civil liberties issue. So if I were to be told in the state of Alabama that I can't have a gun in my house, I think people would be pretty upset about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I should be able to have a gun and a beer. Maybe not at the same time.
In moderation, I suppose both are wonderful. But this is what you can and can't do. This is all about what you can and can't do in the privacy of your own home. So it's legal for me to drink a beer in the privacy of my own home. I simply cannot make a beer in my house in the state of Alabama.
So fortunately, we're not in Alabama right now. We are in Georgia, and you guys have a little home brewing classes coming up, right?
We do. You ready to practice making some more beer?
I am absolutely ready to practice making some more beer.
All right, let's go.
And I would love to get this flavor out of my mouth. I'll tell you that much. This stuff is awful.
His crutches hollered, hey, let her go. He hollered.
So
hey.
when I was a senior in college, I was thinking about applying to med school, and right around May of 2005, the first in the many laws that have changed in Alabama regarding beer, which was the high gravity law. So before then, we couldn't get beers over 6% alcohol. Before then, I was going to go to med school. That kind of inspired me to look at a career in beer. I thought it was never going to happen in Alabama because we were so behind. So I was always kind of like disappointed that I couldn't really pursue that in my own state.
So if this law does change, how will that affect you?
I'll be able to do what I came to Hop City to do. My passion for beer inspired me to take that risk and to, because eventually I hope to be working at a brewery or own my own brewery. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want to be on the production side of the beer industry.
A lot of people out there just look at alcohol as flat out bad. So as somebody that's passionate about it and really loves the art and the craft of brewing beer,
sure,
what would you say to them?
I love drinking beer, and it's not for the it's not for the buzz. It's a pleasurable thing. It's just like cooking good food at your house. That's what I equate brewing beer to. If a chef wants to open his own restaurant, how is he going to hone his craft unless he's able to practice a little bit first? So the beer industry now is one of the only industries that in this economy is actually growing and booming. But in our state, we're shunned to homebrew. It's against the law. So how can people open their own businesses? I mean, it's a job creator more than anything.
Hey, Alabama, you sing as good as you look. Anyone can drop a line. Let's see if you can set the hook.
Do you know anybody that does any home brewing or makes their own beer?
I met a person once, yes.
Okay, and did they live in Alabama?
They did.
Did you know that Alabama is the only state left that does not allow any form of home brewing?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
But they don't know that either.
well, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know. Like you, for example, you didn't even know that it was illegal to brew your own beer. So
Look at magazines, and they got home brewing kits, and UPS knows where we're at.
So, are you guys drinkers?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You said it. You said that with a smile.
I know. I didn't want to say drinkers. Very social.
Okay. Very social. I understand what that means. Have you ever done any home brewing in the past?
No.
Do you know anybody that does home brewing?
Yes.
Okay. So you have friends that do home brewing.
My brother-in-law.
Okay. Awesome. Does he live in Alabama?
Yes.
Did you know that Alabama, it's the only state in the U.S. where it's illegal to home brew?
Oh, I better not tell him that.
We're not trying. We're not. Don't worry. We're not going to try to get your brother in trouble. But so I take it that you weren't aware of that.
No, I was not aware of that.
So what are you going to say to your brother-in-law now that you know that it's illegal in Alabama?
I think, yeah, probably so. Be quiet.
You meet with friends and protest against the fact of being sober. You stop with drinking and you stop with thinking, 'cause everything you need is in your hand now.
Well, the 5th time was a charm. After failing to make it to the governor's desk 4 years in a row, Alabama's homebrew bill passed the Senate 18-7 and was finally signed into law by Governor Robert Bentley. Legalization is immediate. Now, this would obviously please the state's well-established homebrew clubs, such as the Multi-Organisms of Lower Alabama and the Rocket City Brewers. But don't tell that to the opponents. One was recently quoted as saying, "I think we've got enough folks walking around drunk."
Well, obviously he's never been to Atlanta. But come on, homebrewers take their craft way too seriously to go through all the hassle, including breaking the law, just to get drunk off of some hooch.
I think I know some folks who would agree with you. In fact, each year Congress introduces 55 new crimes. There are 50 states with 3,000 counties and 40,000 cities who pass laws on a regular basis.
So carry the one, and basically we all have a better chance of being lawbreakers.
Well, and we also have to investigate some of these victimless crimes.
And have the responsibility of breaking some more laws.
Well, and that's when we need your help. Do you have any laws in your area that you think are borderline criminal? Let us know at www.breakingthelawtv.com.
Maybe your law is the next one legalized. With Breaking the Law, I'm Dalton Lilley.
And I'm Reneé Rayles. See you next time.
Who's up for a beer?
Drink beer, it's good for you. I'm empty-handed and I'm feeling